Liquidation is a real-time strategy game set on a dying planet called Via. This is a game where sci-fi and fantasy mix together. You pick a faction, build a base, train an army, and fight for control over a resource called Quenrium, something that basically keeps what's left of this broken world alive. It's got a campaign, skirmish mode against bots or friends, and multiplayer with replays too if that's your thing. Honestly, this game flies under many people's radar right now, so I had to cover it. What makes it stand out for me personally is how smooth everything feels to actually play, because a lot of RTS games make you fight the controls as much as the enemy itself, and this one simply doesn't. Your units respond fast, the pathing is surprisingly clean, even with rather big armies, and there's a bunch of small quality of life touches, like being able to select way more than the usual 12 units, or workers that repair damaged buildings on their own, without you having to tell them. It just keeps feeling good to play, even mission after mission. Story-wise, I'm gonna keep this short. A big disaster called the Splintering essentially wrecked the entire planet and wiped out a bunch of civilizations. Afterward, Quenrium showed up, and once people figured out it could sustain life, everyone wanted it, of course. The campaign is laid out almost like a timeline of events, which I thought was a neat way to tell it. It is of course not the most detailed story, but it's solid. And the units also have some fun voice lines. Now for the actual gameplay, the meat of the game. This is of course where the game really earns it. You've got 3 factions to choose from right now: the Twilight Crusade, the Scourge Alliance, basically demons pouring in from another realm to serve some higher power. Each one plays pretty differently, and all 3 are fully playable in skirmish already. There are no missing pieces. Combat comes down to building the right mix of units and using their abilities well. Every unit you select gets its abilities pulled onto one hotbar. This is mapped to easy keys, so you're not constantly digging through menus mid-fight. A lot of your infantry can also switch roles on the fly, like your basic troops, for example, swapping between an axe or a sword and shield. The game also has a high ground mechanic, so holding the top of a ramp actually blocks enemies below from seeing you. Each faction is led by a commander who levels up over the campaign and unlocks new abilities as you go, which end up being genuinely useful in fights. That said, commanders don't run the show by themselves. Every strong ability comes with some kind of trade-off, so your army still matters just as much as your hero does. I would actually find it nice if commanders leaned even further into a support role instead of being the center of every fight, but that's more of a personal preference than a real complaint. Now as for the base building follows the usual formula: gather resources, expand, and unlock stronger units through upgrades. One system I really like is the separate supply track, just for vehicles. I think that's similar to how Dawn of War handled it. It grows as you build and upgrade your headquarters, so it naturally pushes you to keep expanding. Skirmish also has an upkeep system, where your population sits in brackets, and going too high starts quietly, cutting into your Quenrium income. It works, though I'd personally like to see it as more of a gradual curve, instead of hard cutoffs, since right now it can make players a little too scared to grow their army. If I really had to nitpick something, it's probably that the armor and damage type differences between the units, that the gap here doesn't feel quite big enough, so your unit matchups can blur a bit together, a bit more than I'd like. And correct me if I'm wrong, but there doesn't seem to be a way to currently rebind your keys. But then again, the game just launched into early access, so honestly, this is pretty good. Right now you're getting the first 2 chapters of the campaign, 6 missions total, all 3 factions complete, and several skirmish maps for both PvP and PvE. The plan for full release, targeting the second half of 2027, is a 4th faction, a much bigger 32 mission campaign, more skirmish maps, and proper matchmaking with community tools. I'm certain even new players should have an easy time picking this one up, since the controls are very approachable.